The Warriors started this season with 12 wins and 4 losses as a team, and to some people actually looked like a serious threat in the Western Conference. Sorry, only Warriors fans thought that they were a threat. Everyone else seemed to point out and notice how inconsistent and unreliable this team actually is. I've done my fair share of Buddy Hield slander throughout these past couple weeks, but I feel like he's almost the perfect example as to why the Warriors are struggling just as a whole. I'm not saying it's all Buddy Hield's fault, I just think that his situation perfectly represents this entire thing. He started this season off on fire. I'm pretty sure he was averaging like 20-something points in his first 10 games. He was knocking down threes at 50%. Every single Warriors fan was going crazy talking about how they found their new Klay Thompson and that everything was going to be okay. Their three-point shooting is amazing. It's out of this world. Everything was looking great. Well, besides the Buddy Hield defense, but that's besides the point. But in these past couple games where they've had a 4-game losing streak, Buddy Hield has kind of come back down to earth, just like almost any other player that's on their team. I mean, Steve Kerr has been running like a 14-man rotation, so it doesn't really surprise me that there's a bunch of nights where they have someone who pops off. But once again, that's not a consistent thing. That's not something that you want to rely on if you want to win a championship. But the biggest problem that they have isn't the fact that they're inconsistent or unreliable. The biggest problem is actually Stephen Curry. I promise this isn't rage bait. I seriously think that Stephen Curry is going to be a huge problem for this Warriors team. And it's not because of his play or his numbers are down or he can't shoot threes anymore. Like none of that bullshit that you might see on Instagram. It's purely the fact that this guy is 36 years old. We are finally reaching the end of an era, right? Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Stephen Curry are starting to slow down. We're not really starting to see them be, themselves anymore. I mean, it's insane that they've gone this fucking far. But one of those things that comes along with age is injuries. And Steph Curry, unfortunately, has already been dealing with these. I mean, he's having some sort of problem in his knees where he's been sore. He had to sit out, I'm pretty sure, a couple games because of it. And he said himself that he's not worried about it, but I think what that really shows is that the age is starting to really show. I mean, we have been so blind to the fact that these players can actually age when we do see LeBron, Steph, and KD still dominate even at their old ass ages. Like one of the best examples is the Olympics. They were still able to absolutely dominate the world, but I'm actually starting to think that the Olympics maybe had an effect on his, health now. He's putting so much work and so much on his body, especially playing for this Warriors team where he's still the #1 option. He's doing every single thing for the team, and unfortunately, at some point, it is just going to catch up to you. Whether that's this year, next year, or the one after that, at some point, Stephen Curry's body is just going to not let him play the way that he has always been able to play. And it really brings me back to a point that I made in one of my previous videos when talking about the Golden State Warriors, and that was just how poorly constructed they are. Like if I put a line right here and said that this area was full-on rebuild, trying for a new era of Warriors basketball, and this over here was a win now situation, we have Steph Curry, let's just get another championship and then we can call it. They are right in the fucking middle, and it's actually terrible. It is the worst thing you could do as a franchise, because on that win now front, you have guys like Draymond Green and Stephen Curry, and anytime you have Stephen Curry on your team, there's no doubt you have a chance of winning a championship. But like I mentioned earlier, his age, his health, these are things that you can't really rely on like you could when he was fucking 28. But then at the same time, you're trying to develop your young talent like Pods and Moody and Kuminga and all these other young guys, and it's just simply impossible to do both. You either have to spend all this time to develop those young players and have them be, hopefully the ones that take you to the championship again, or you go all in on Stephen Curry and get him a star to play alongside him and just try to build out a decent rotation of role players. And I mean, the really embarrassing thing is that they were going to do that this year. They were going to make that move for Paul George. I heard rumors that they were going to go for Lauri Markkanen as well, but the Warriors GM, for some reason, values guys like Kuminga and AirPods to be more than those established, all-star players. I mean, we can look at Paul George's situation and say with hindsight, it was a good decision that they didn't go with it. But Lauri Markkanen, I think, would have fit great on the team. And I mean, don't even get me started on AirPods, bro. I have heard so many Warriors fans these past couple years talk about how he is the future of the franchise, like he is the GOAT, he's so good. I always felt like he was overrated, and unfortunately that's just because he's a Warriors player and all the Warriors fans just fucking go crazy for their players like that. But what is he shooting from 3 this year? Because I know it's insane. It's like 20% or something like that. Yeah, last season he was shooting almost 40% from 3 on only 3 attempts, and this year we heard Steve Kerr and all these Warriors, coaches talk about how they want him to shoot the shit out of the ball. They wanted him shooting like 6 threes a game, but now he's shooting 21% on 4 attempts. He's He's shooting even more than he was last year, just barely, and is somehow shooting even worse. And I know a lot of people are just going to blame Steve Kerr and say that it's his rotations that are bad, and he's the reason why they keep losing. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong, but I do think that there are serious issues that are deeper than just some head coach. Because yeah, the 15-man rotation is absolutely insane, and it looks like we're gonna start seeing that kind of get trimmed down a little bit. But you surrounded Steph Curry with just role players. I mean, all of these guys are actual role players. I'm sorry, I don't see any other star player coming out of this current Golden State Warriors team. I know some people feel like Moses Moody is like the next coming of fucking Jesus Christ, and Jonathan Kuminga is like a decent player, no doubt about it, but I don't see any superstar potential coming out from this pick of players, which is why I wanted the Warriors to trade them to try to get one final run out of Stephen Curry. But it's just like unfortunate because I'm not even a Warriors fan, and I feel bad, kind of, for the Warriors fans that have to sit here and watch this team for probably the next 2 years until Steph Curry decides to retire. My prediction is that they're just going to be a play-in team every single year. They're not really going to have any success. They might have a fun, streak or a fun run like they did at the start of the season. And yeah, Moses Moody is probably going to have a crazy game every now and then, but none of it means anything. There's no substance to it because they can't win for shit. I mean, the fact that they won the championship in 2022 is still just absolutely crazy to me, and also part of the reason why I think they're still stuck in this situation. Like, obviously you're going to take the championship over like an earlier rebuild, but it's kind of crazy to think that that's like maybe one of the only reasons why Steph Curry and Draymond are still on this team, because they won that championship. I also still can't believe that they traded Jordan Poole. That's one of the craziest moves that no one seems to talk about. Okay, let me chill a little bit. I'm actually starting to hate on this team. Overall, though, I don't really mean for this video to be like a hate video. If anything, like I said earlier, I'm actually somewhat feeling bad for the Warriors fans that have to go through this, because I know it is just going to be a miserable time where you're just one of those middle teams that's not really going to accomplish anything, but you're also not like going to be a bottom feeder lottery team. Another part of me, though, doesn't really feel bad, and I don't know if that's just because I am a Kings fan and I do kind of hate this team and all of their fans. That was a joke. If you're a Warriors fan, please still like the video. But at the same time, they were so lucky to get that 2022 championship, and I think that that would have been the best time to really just end it all. Close it on a winning note and not try to push for something else when you know it's not really going to happen, especially with them getting a new GM, and then Klay Thompson obviously leaves, and the Jordan Poole situation, like I mentioned earlier. Like, realistically, even if you're a Warriors fan, I'm sure you can agree that things should have ended in 2022. They should have ended that chapter of their, team on a good note, like winning a championship that they were never expected to win. But maybe I'm wrong, and I'm just a complete doomer when looking at the Golden State Warriors situation. Maybe you feel differently, and you can let me know down in the comments below. That's one of my favorite things about uploading these videos, is reading and responding to every single comment that I have down there. And if you are already down in the comments typing up an absolute storm calling me a Kings fan and that's the only reason why I hate the Warriors, if you could just go ahead and scroll up a little bit and hit the like and subscribe button, that does help out the channel a ton. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That being said, hopefully Steph Curry gets better soon and we don't have to worry about him being injured, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.